Hello, Instant Level here, and I've got some footage of Battlefield 4. This is going to be taking place on the test range, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of helicopter footage, show the heads-up display, and just to kind of test out some new editing software that I have. So I'm still working out some of the kinks, so we'll see how that goes. All right, this is stuff I recorded off my 360. Future recordings probably off the Xbox One. When I spawned in here, I noticed that they've put down some of the weapon pickups that you can find on the map. So I don't believe you can spawn with these weapons. They're just stuff that you find lying around the map. It can be useful, depending on what they are, it can be useful against vehicles, or sniper weapons, or, you know, certain grenade and rocket launchers, etc. Just thought that was interesting, because I hadn't seen that before. Alright, now, before I jump into a chopper, I'm going to show you the igloo. Now, the igloo works by locking on and firing, and you have to maintain the lock. See, I take the lock off, and it just flies into the air. But when I put the lock back on, you just keep your eye on it, and then boom, hits it. And then I can fire a second one, maintain the lock, and I blew up that, that mock-up of the UAV there. So that's kind of cool. I had read it in the description of the igloo, and I figured I'd test it out, and it does in fact work. You can fire it off, drop the lock to reload, reestablish the lock, and then hit it with 2 missiles quickly. It's kind of cool. All right, so I've jumped in the little bird here. I'm going to take a fly. I'm going to take a little spin around. I'll be showing off some of the controls, going off the heads-up display. The nice thing about this test range is it really does allow you to work with all the vehicles and weapons without worrying about having to crash with your teammates in it or being shot down by the enemy. So that's really nice. On the Xbox 360, if you click in the right stick with the controller setup I have, you'll actually zoom to not zoom, but you'll go to a third-person view like this. Now, again, your control setup may differ, but when I go left and right, it's called yaw, and you'll know I don't lose any altitude when I do the yaw. Now, forward and back on the right stick, I'll pitch, that's called pitch, forward and backwards, and I lose elevation. And for me, left and right on the left stick is going to roll the vehicle. You definitely will lose elevation, and you want to make sure you throttle up to make sure you don't fall too far. All your movements in the chopper is going to be some combination of these 3 movements. Now, I'm coming in here on the attack boat, and I'm going to stop it right here and kind of zoom in on the mini-map here. It's pretty simple. It just shows where you are in relationship to the map, and if you have air radar unlock, it'll show you where enemy vehicles are. Now I'm going to slide over to the center here. It's telling me at the top my minigun's ready. There's a little level bubble in the center for left and right leveling. The left is my minigun on the D-pad. Down is deploying countermeasures on my the flares, and those also are done by buttons. The Y button switches weapons, and the left bumper deploys countermeasures. I didn't have heat seekers unlocked. Come over here, it shows me that I'm piloting with 3 empty seats. The top bar is the health of the vehicle. The minigun doesn't have ammo per se, it'll just overheat and you'll have to wait. The lower left where it says 6, that's your number of countermeasures, and my health is also there. There's a little white bar there below the ammo, but I'll go over that after in the attack helicopter. Now, we can screen over to the center. You can see at the top is a compass. It's 360 degrees, with 0 degrees being north. To the upper left, you see my IR flares are ready. When you deploy them, there's like a 25-second cooldown, which is like an eternity. And to the right, there's an altitude bar with a little digital readout in the box of my altitude. I'm about 16 or 18.1 meters off the ground. It's hard to read, even with my big TV. So I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to start the video up again in a moment, and I'm going to continue to, if I remember correctly, I'm going to continue to attack the boat and just kind of show you how resilient they are. They've made the boats much nicer, or much more, usable in Battlefield 4. This thing's heavily armored. It's got tons of weapons. I'll probably do a video on that at some point too. I'm getting a lot of skipping. I'm hoping the video kind of stabilizes there. Alright, it's a little better. And yeah, these boats, they take a lot of beating and they got tons of weapons, so it's going to be really nice using them if you haven't already. I'm just showing you. It does take quite a bit with the minigun to take one of these things down, so I'll by all means attack with the minigun, but it's going to take you a while if you don't have help. And those boats can fire back. They've got miniguns of their own. They They can be equipped with passive and active radar, depending on what's unlocked. They've got explosive, I don't know if they're grenades or rockets they can fire, so they can do a good job of defending themselves. Now, this is the smallest and most agile chopper, so you might actually want to use this one last, because it's the one that you could quite possibly lose control in the easiest, because it turns the quickest. It's got very good reaction, very good response to your controls. So if you overcorrect in any way, you could get yourself in a heap of trouble. And I've found that when I'm flying, I'll pitch forward, to build up some speed, start to lose altitude, then you just give it some throttle. And I find that, rocking back and forth on the pitch and the throttle, if you can get a good rotation, good rhythm, you can often really build up speed. And a lot of times it's pretty... I'm going to take some shots at this UAV here to show you what it takes to take one of them down. I have not unlocked the heat seekers yet, so at this point I'm just using the guns. I've since unlocked the heat seekers, but those are pretty self-explanatory, and you're going to see them in the attack chopper because they come standard. It's a standard unlock. You don't have to do anything to get them in the attack chopper. So yeah, it just keep practicing. I just wanted to show a little bit about what the heads-up display does. Probably the most important thing on there is the altitude meter, and of course the lower right-hand corner that tells you the status of your soldier and your vehicle and how much ammo you have. Like I said, the minigun doesn't really ever run out. It's just if you fire it for too long, you have to wait while it overheats. You'll have to wait because it is overheated and has to cool down. And I just deployed the flares there. This chopper, and I think all the choppers, have 6 flares that deploy in 3 pairs of 2. Now I'm coming back towards the runway. I believe I'm going to land the chopper here, and we're going to jump in the Viper and take that for a spin. You've already basically seen most, and you can see, I don't know if you saw at the end there, you can back it up. There's a little vertical bar that tells you, and you can see it right there as I start to take off, that tells you if you're pitched forward or back. If you pitch forward, it'll go all the way up and disappear out of the top, and if you're pitched back, it'll drop down and potentially disappear out the bottom. The attack chopper is armed with Hydra rockets, which are very effective or designed to be very effective against taking down vehicles. And we're going to zoom in. I'm just going to show you a little bit about what's different. Right here, we've got you can see what looks like a cursor towards the top center of the screen. That's where your rockets will hit. You can see a little bit of the flying cursor above it, but that cursor is of the flying target above it, but that cursor is where the rockets will hit. And it's telling me my Hydra rockets are ready, and that little rectangle with the square in it, that square is where your gunner is aiming. Now over here, you see that little white bar underneath the 0? I've got 14 rounds ready to fire, 0 in reserve, and a little white bar that I call the production bar. Every time that bar fills up, you'll get more into your reserve, which can then be reloaded. That will keep filling up until you reach your maximum in reserve, and you cannot fire if you have nothing in your reserve and nothing loaded up to go. So the bar just filled up, and it went to 14, and it's not filling again. So it looks like you can have 14 in the chamber ready to go, and 14 in reserve. So they do kind of limit you a little bit, so you can't just be this invincible killing machine. Well, you can if you're a good pilot. But all right, I switched over to my heat seekers, and I'm trying to hit it. It's a little tricky. I find it a little troubling to hit that moving flying target with the rockets, but I did manage to land one. Combined with the heat seekers that took it out, and you can see I actually manually reloaded there, which you can do. And the production bar is filling up. It's about to fill up, and it's going to put 14. So now I have 15 in reserve. Instead of the standard 14, so I guess that's one way you... I wonder if that's one way you can kind of game the system. Fire off a rocket, reload. Alright, now I switched to the gunner position, so there's nobody piloting. I just wanted to show you the exact same rectangle is here, and again, that square is going to be where you're aiming, so that is a way for the pilot to kind of know where you're aiming your 30mm cannons. So if he can see, if you're turned all the way to the left, he can bank... if he's paying attention, he can bank the chopper to the left and kind of give you a hand there and make it a little easier for you to fire. Otherwise, that's the only main difference. You can see the targeting reticle there. That's pretty much self-explanatory. And you can see it looks like we get 50 rounds at a time. I mean, sorry, 20 rounds at a time, 60 in reserve. And really, the gunner is going to be the force there. Or I'm sorry, maybe it's 30 at a time, but 60 in reserve. I'm switching seats, so literally the chopper has to restart every time I do that. And you can see in the rectangle there that as I turn, the gun kind of stays facing in one direction. Here we go. See how when I move the gun, that little square within the rectangle moves? You can't tell when I'm firing, and I just pause it there to see the hit markers. Now I'm going to switch seats, I think. I'll take a few more shots, and you can see the square moving around within the rectangle. I switch seats, and I got to power it up again. Otherwise, I'm going to take a little swim. And now you can see I usually try to aim the bottom of the cursor for what I want, and it's gonna depend. How you aim is gonna depend on, you know, whether you're hitting a moving target or a stationary target. If you've got a tank that's sitting there blasting away, you can probably aim right on it. But if it's in motion, you kind of gotta compensate for your movement and the tank's movement, leading it the proper amount to allow for you to hit it. Now that's it for the Viper. Now I believe I'm jumping in the transport heli. This is the Venom, and there's not a whole lot to this. I'm just gonna freeze it for like a second because everything's pretty much the same. So there you go. You got the altimeter, you got the flare notification. The guns are actually two. If you look at the right, there are two gunner seats. So the pilot cannot gun. All he can do is fly. This is the biggest, bulkiest, probably the easiest to control because it's not that as responsive as the other two. So the chances of you overcorrecting are probably much smaller. And that's it. There's not much more to show, so I'm not going to bother going into depth. It's pretty much the same. I just wanted to show you that it's, you know, all the same stuff is there. We're going to land here, and I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.